If it wasn't wide receiver university, it is now. The Ohio State Buckeyes are pretty much guaranteed to land Chris Henry Jr. out of modern day high school. A perennial powerhouse in high school football. He's a top 10 national recruit out of the 2026 class. He's 6'5", 205 pounds, and he's going to have plenty of time to fill into that frame. It's incredible that Ohio State continues year after year to bring in and foster this talent. We're going to talk about Jeremiah Smith in a second here, but to think about a guy like Mylan Graham, who they were able to bring in, and guys that are sitting, waiting to go. Brandon Ennis, Carnell Tate being a number 3 wide receiver on a college football program is just ridiculous to anyone. He could be a number 1 at maybe every school in the country except for 5 or 6. Something like that. And Jeremiah Smith coming in as the number 1 guy in college football as a whole, and he gets to practice against arguably the best defensive player in the country in college football in Caleb Downs. So much to break down here. Mainly, though, is schematically. That's exactly why Chris Henry Jr. wants to come and be an Ohio State Buckeye, is so that he can be schemed to be a threat. Even in his freshman season, JJ just did it. JJ came in as a freshman, and he started from day 1. They came out, and he was a force against Akron. So when you see JJ his junior year and Henry Jr. walks in as a freshman, he's got a little bit of that juice to be thinking, yeah, I think I can start for this program. It's going to be tough to be able to actually do it, but by then, who knows? He's going to have developed for another year and a half. So why this is important for the landscape. Buckeyes have continued to pour in 5-star talent at the safety position. They've brought in 4-star offensive tackles. Looking at 5 stars, we still don't know where Jackson Cantwell is going to go. But with the best 2 players in the country next season, and it doesn't really matter who your quarterback is, as long as they can throw the football decently well, the Buckeyes are going to be competing for a national championship next year, and then the year after that as well. Chris Henry brings a size of 6'5" that is frankly in a position to put him in that type of category that Jeremiah Smith is, with his 50-50 catch, with his ability to be a threat in the red zone. But what's funny is if you look at a lot of his tape, a lot of his highlights, is it almost looks as if he's a short passing threat, something underneath. It seems as if he's getting a lot of his targets within 10 to 12 yards of the line of scrimmage, and he's got a lot of rack, a ton of run after the catch with this youngster. And just sort of looking at his highlights here right now, and when he's healthy and he's running, it seems as if he's 5'11", 6 feet tall, in how fluid he moves and the way that he's able to separate even from defensive backs. What's great right now, and what we love specifically about this, something that JJ didn't do, is that he came out 6-8 months before actual national signing day and has said, I'm committed to Ohio State. I'm going to shut down my recruiting visits to other schools right now, like Miami, like Oregon. I'm not going to go there. I'm not even going to make Buckeyes fans or the Ohio State coaching personnel sweat that I'm going to be spending the next several years once I get out of high school with the best developmental wide receiver program in the country. Right now, have we seen anything in recent memory that has been better than the Buckeyes? We can make the comparison. We'll talk about LSU right now. So Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas. These are 3 number 1 wide receivers for their respective teams. It seems like Brian Thomas is set for a 1250 and 10 touchdown type of season with the Jaguars right now being a number 1. But the number of Buckeyes that are number 1s throughout other teams, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., Terry McLaurin, and Emeka Ibuka, wherever he lands, he certainly could be. Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's there. I can understand, okay, the best 2 wide receivers in football are Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. No argument there. Number 3, You can get into the A.J. Browns, the C.D. Lambs of the world, maybe Tyreek Hill if he's able to stay healthy, but we know that the top two are Jamar and Justin. Once J.J. gets into the league, he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver by the end of his rookie season, if not in the first half of his rookie season in that year. And by the time that happens, we're talking about 3 years down the road. You don't think Marvin Harrison Jr. has found his stride, just like his dad did, in becoming a pretty much guarantee of a lock to have about 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns every year? Marvin's going to get this thing right. The outlook for wide receiver U has a bit relied on what happens next. Where does Ohio State go once arguably the best wide receiver prospect we've ever seen, the best in the last 20 years, at least Jeremiah Smith being the #1 recruit in the country out of high school, that hadn't been seen from a wide receiver in 20 years, or practically ever, for 247 Sports. But after that, once JJ is gone, where will the future be? Once Marvin Harrison Jr. left, where would the future be? Once Chris Olave, once Garrett Wilson, once all these guys left, where would the future lie? We knew Marvin was there. Once Marvin was leaving, we knew JJ was there. But then it was almost as if, is this transition going to go well? Is Chris Henry? But this is the type of player that continues this dynasty that they are building, the developmental space that this team, under the development, under the ability of Brian Hartline to coach these guys up with his former experience playing in the National Football League. His ability to understand the nuance that comes with running routes, to get to know his players and speak to them in a way that they're able to improve, to understand his message, to respect him, but also fear him somewhat. He is, without a doubt, the best wide receiver coach in college football, at least. In terms of the NFL, he's going to be getting opportunities. So you might be asking, what does the future look like for Brian Hartline and what will happen in the future coming years? I think he stays, obviously, with the Buckeyes for the foreseeable 2 years. He's the offensive coordinator now, so he's going to have play calling duties. We know that. The next 2 years of Jeremiah Smith. I think we can count on Brian Hartline being with the Buckeyes through Chris Henry Jr.'s career with Ohio State, which we can likely predict will be about 3 years. So that will be 4 more years with the Buckeyes, and at that point, hopefully another national championship or 2 for them, a couple Big Ten titles, hopefully a win against Michigan, and a very talented crop of players that are brought in, and Bryce Underwood. He's going to be an absolute megastar, and then the competing against the new talent, Oregon and Penn State on the rise. But Hartline, in 4 years, I would think that's the point where he seeks to make that jump, and I believe it will be available to him. Because if you can do something in the sport better than anyone else and clearly be head and shoulders above anyone else, and be pretty clearly the best, you deserve to be a leader of men and have your own program where you can do that in another sense of position. I think he could do that more than just with wide receivers. Obviously, there's a connection to having played that position, but it does look like there are bigger things awaiting for Hartline once he comes up with maybe the greatest wide receiver in college football history. When it's all said and done, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Jeremiah Smith. But this news is ridiculous. It solidifies the Buckeyes as wide receiver. You can hate on that, you can love and enjoy it, but you can't argue that the talent is there and that there is not a more talented player in college football for the next 2 years at the wide receiver position with JJ, and this thing is going to continue steamrolling forward for the Buckeyes. Gonna have to try and get out there to Mater Dei and see this guy. I'm in Los Angeles, so it wouldn't be too hard to get out to Santa Ana and see him play. For more football content overall, we don't just talk Buckeyes, although I am a huge Ohio State fan. I try and bring relevancy. I respect good football where it is due, so you'll even hear me talk well about Michigan, Penn State, the rivals. We bring to you NFL content as well, so appreciate you all for watching this video. Hope you hit the subscribe button, give a comment, let me know what you think down below, and see you next time.